Ice dancers Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir open up about their long partnership and the challenges of launching a comeback.
What's been the hardest part?
Getting used to the pressure again. I think I underestimated just how nervous we would get.
This is all leading into the Pyeongchang Olympics, and we have to be perfect. It's hard to imagine failure at this point, because if we're able to take the ice in Pyeongchang and feel like we did everything we possibly could to set ourselves up for that moment, that has to be enough.
After returning to active competition a year ago, Canada's premier ice dance duo is ready to take on the world in South Korea. But the road to the podium is a difficult one, because for these comeback kids, the challenges are not just on the ice. Still, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir are absolutely focused on winning gold in Pyeongchang, just as they did in Vancouver, and as many believe they were robbed of doing in Sochi. Susan Ormiston sat down with the rejuvenated pair ahead of their appearance in the Grand Prix finals in Japan later this week, and talked about refinding their edge.
Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir have been paired up longer than any other skating duo in Canada.
Blazing down the highway as we left the city of Versailles.
Their intimate professional relationship has weathered 20 years of success and less, ever since coaches put the two promising juniors together back in 1997. That's a lot of growing up side by side. Tessa, you're so poised and so professional, and you meet these big performance challenges on a regular basis. What rattles you?
Mostly I get rattled by feeling like we're not measuring up, or feeling like, you know, we're failing one another in some way. But I'm so grateful that we have such a solid partnership, and after 20 years that we can speak about that openly and honestly, and come together and find solutions and feel that support and comfort.
You know what's funny is I always hoped that, you know, they would ask different questions, like the hard questions to me, but that is not one I would want to answer. I don't think I have an answer for what rattles you. You're pretty...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What rattles you then?
I don't know.
You invited
Letting
it.
down T, I think, would be the biggest thing. That's something I couldn't live with, and that's when I looked at the beginning of this year. What can't I live with? And letting down Tessa was number one, I think. You know, we've done all this together. I want to end this on a good note, and I don't see that happening to you.
Never, no, you couldn't.
So I have to ask you this. So 20 years, it's like a marriage, right? So after 20 years, what bugs you about your partner?
You know, it's a sick answer. I think people are going to be really upset.
It's going to be
about
sappy, isn't
it.
it?
Oh, my God. But, you know, it's crazy. And this, like, some days, like, I look at Tessa, I just think, like, this is such a funny little relationship that we have, because it's better than it was 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, winning the Olympics, in our biggest fights, like, in our highest moments. I think now it's better than it's ever been, and that's a friendship.
Okay, Tessa, your turn.
What bugs me? Well, you're punctual now. That used to be a thing that he's on time all the time.
Representing Canada, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir.
Virtue and Moir soared into Canadians' hearts at the Vancouver Olympics.
Gold medalist and Olympic champions, representing Canada, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir.
4 years later in Sochi, our golden duo in ice dance went for a second gold.
That was a study in subtle perfection.
But after a nasty judging controversy alleging the result was predetermined, they got silver.
Gold medalists representing United States of America.
And after Sochi, retired from competition.
Don't nobody kiss it like you, don't nobody kiss it like you, bang, bang, bang.
Then they joined the pro circuit on shows like Stars on Ice. But it turns out, not for long.
You have an announcement to make. What is it, Tessa? I'll give you the honor.
Oh, well, thank you. We've decided to return to competition, and we are so excited.
The skating couple came roaring back.
Oh my goodness. This is Olympic gold medal worthy, should they do it that way.
This year reclaiming top marks in ice dance, going into the Grand Prix final this week, number 2 behind the French, and razor focused on the Pyeongchang Olympics. So it is a risk, retiring and then coming back. What's been the hardest part?
Getting used to the pressure again. I think I underestimated just how nervous we would get, and everyone always thinks that because we've performed so many times that it's easy. But when we take the ice now, I think I'm more nervous than I've ever been. The difference is I can control it a little bit better, but that pure excitement can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming.
I mean, this is all leading into the Pyeongchang Olympics, and we have to be perfect in those mere minutes, you know, on the world stage, but perfection doesn't exist. So we've had to adjust that mindset and try to chase excellence instead.
It's unlikely, given the stellar year you've had, that you won't medal in these Olympics, but it could happen. How have you psychologically prepared for that?
It's hard to imagine failure at this point, because if we're able to take the ice in Pyeongchang and feel like we did everything we possibly could to set ourselves up for that moment, that has to be enough.
Can I ask you about 2014? Many people think that there was controversy around that gold-silver alignment. You came home with the silver, the Americans took the gold.
Yeah.
People suggest that there was rigging in the judging. Has judging changed?
What was most disheartening about that was we love skating and we want other people to feel the same way. And when any kind of controversy comes into it, which is natural in a subjective sport, you know, it does sort of tarnish it.
Are you confident, though, that it has changed enough that supporters and fans and skaters can have full confidence in the judging? Other people say to me, not.
We do feel like there has been a change, and we do feel like the judging of figure skating is improving.
The Olympics are now scarcely 8 weeks away, and Pyeongchang finds itself in the middle of geopolitical tensions. While there is often an unofficial truce around the Games, the lead-up has been fraught with unsettling signals. Do you have concerns about what could happen at Pyeongchang?
Of course. I think we'd be lying if we said there weren't concerns. And it sounds so selfish when we just say, oh, but our job is to focus on athletics, because there's so much more happening in the world, and it's so much greater than that. But you hope that staying true to the Olympic spirit, we can be free of that for 1 month.
Do you have any fear about it?
I have fear, obviously, whenever we have family members there, that for their safety and for you know, innocent people's safety. That's a fear of ours, but you know, there are things that you have to kind of understand about the politics of sport that are a little bit out of our control, and hoping that the spirit of the Olympic Games the positives can outweigh the negatives.
I think that's a perfect place to end. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you in Pyeongchang. I'll be there.
Yeah, I hope so.
All of Canada will be rooting for you, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.